In this After Effects tutorial, you are going to learn how to create this insane viral reel style animation completely from scratch. We will be recreating the exact animation you have been watching since the start of the video, taken straight from the Kold profile. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, it really supports the channel. With that said, let's jump straight into the tutorial. Process of creating this animation as always includes 3 steps: design, animating and final touches. Let's start from first of 3 steps, which of course is design. And as you can see in this scene, we have not so many elements. We have this rectangle with only stroke, like without any fill. We have 2 radars here and there, and we have this grid right there with blur on that, but blur is only here within this rectangle. So yeah, let's create scene like that. Of course, let's start from creating new composition. Let's go here, composition settings, let's write main, okay, and it's going to be short form animation, so we need to change resolution to TikTok resolution or resolution of any other platform that have short form. Frame rate, let's go with 30, and duration it can be like 10 seconds. Then click OK. Okay, I think we can start from this rectangle. We need to click here to rectangle tool. Okay, perfect. And now fill, let's make sure it's unknown, and stroke, let's change color to white, and we can leave 10 pixels for now. Okay, now let's click here again and let's click Q on your keyboard and let's find a rounded rectangle tool. Okay, so let's create rectangle like that. It should be something like this. Perfect. Now let's center that on the screen by using Algin right here, this tool. And right now we need to add this effect, so we have these empty spaces like that. To do that, we need to go here to shape layer, click here, then here, and then let's go to stroke, to dashes, let's click plus right there, then let's increase amount of dash to probably 100, something like this. Okay, as you can see, this rectangle is done. Now let's place these 2 radars. I found this radar for free on the internet. You can find similar one as well, or you can just check the description where I put all the assets and also free project file to download for all of you guys. So I suggest to check that. Okay, let's import this radar here then, and let's place first radar probably here. Okay, and as you can see here, we have a little different radar, but you know, if you want, you can find a different one. I will use the same one, to be honest. So let's just copy this, let's make this smaller, and let's put this, I don't know, like here maybe. And let's move this second radar to the left on the timeline, so you know, it will be not in the same exact moment at animation. Okay, maybe let's make it a little smaller, something like this. And now as well, of course, we have red colors on this animation, so this needs to be red as well. Let's add here fill effect, and you know, it will be on the red already, so we don't need to change anything here. Okay, perfect. And then let's make this grid right there. To do that, of course, we need to create new solid. Let's name that grid. Perfect. Now let's add here grid effect, this one, and let's change grids to something like there, probably this. Okay, perfect. Now go to color and let's change that to red, of course. Okay, perfect. Now let's also move this grid under everything on this scene. We can as well make everything here 3D. Okay, now as well, let's recompose this. Let's choose this option, move all attributes into the new composition. Let's click OK. Thanks this, we can right now mask this because we have grid only like here. So let's go here to rectangle tool and let's add mask. Now as well, let's go to mask 1 and let's go to mask feather. So you know, the end of our grid will be not so drastic. It will be a lot of more smooth like this. Okay, that's perfect. Okay, and now we need to add this blur, but only within this rectangle right there. So to do that, firstly we need to pre-compose that again. Then let's add blur right here. probably just fast box blur, and let's set that to 6, I guess, or even 7. Okay, then let's copy that. Okay, right now let's remove fast box blur from the top recompose, and let's add a mask right here, but let's change that to subtract. Okay, like that, and let's add mask. Okay, right there. Of course, you know, change between blur and non-blur grid need to be smooth as well, so we need to add here this fader again, but this time let's... Okay, but right now we need to change mask a bit. Okay, essentially we need something like this. Right now, last 2 elements for now is this, actually 3 elements, which are 3 words, is like discovering. Let's use monster rat font here, or actually it's Colvetica. Let's use Colvetica. Okay, so let's click new text, and firstly is like, but it should be like this, and let's change from monstera to Colvetica, because actually it is Colvetica. Colvetica regular, fill to white. Okay, it's like. For now, let's put it here. Then let's copy this and let's write this value. Okay, it should be like this. Let's adjust texts. Okay, let's make everything 3D. Then let's select both of text layers and let's link them to one null. Okay, let's make it smaller. Let's adjust position of this as well. Okay, it should be something like that. Right now, I think we should actually animate 2-3 movements, out zoom for start of animation, and also this movement to the down to this second part of the animation, which is this part with filler and dropshipping text and, you know, everything. So let's do these 2 movements, and then we will add this dropshipping filler with this text and everything. And all of these texts like glows, color correction, and etc. we will add in final touches section as well, of course. So right now we will do part 2, but we will back to the part 1 for a sec to finish this part, because we also need to design this second part of animation. So of course we need to add a new camera. We can already link new null to this camera, and let's make first movement, which is pretty simple and minimalistic out zoom. Okay, let's adjust text as well. It should be something like that, and as well let's change graph for this keyframes to exactly this. So we should receive something like this. Okay, yeah, it should be a little different. It should be shorter. Let's adjust that. Okay, maybe even that short, because we have another movement really fast after that. It doesn't have to be so smooth because of that. I'm speaking about first movement. And now let's do this second movement, the down. Actually, let's do this movement to something like this, because here we have actually two different movements, 2 different graphs. We have this zoom to this moment, we have a zoom to the down of the screen. So we need to make one movement from this position to this position, and then we will have another movement from this position to this position. So let's make movement to this position right now. Okay, so peak of this movement, for now let's say that it's going to be here. We can even make a mark there. Now let's add another null to this null, then go to position, and let's make first keyframe right here and second keyframe right there, and let's make zoom to this position, something like that. But let's also adjust position of this radar, because it should be closer to the camera actually, something like this. Okay, let's adjust this. Let's make it a little smaller. Let's move this. Okay, something like that. Okay, right now we need to make a very, very smooth graph for this one. So let's go to graph editor and let's do something like this with the peak of the graph exactly on our mark. Let's check that right now. Okay, it needs to be a bit faster. So this animation should start sooner. Let's make this a little... Oh, it should be okay, actually. So maybe our peak will be here. Let's check that right now. Okay, let's also move this second radar even closer to camera. Let's adjust scale as well, so it will be in the same size for us. We can also move this maybe a bit there. Okay, this zoom can be a little more like that. Okay, let's check that right now after this little adjustments. Okay, yeah. Let's also animate these texts. Actually, we don't have really any big animation here. It's just appearing. It's like will appear immediately and discovering will appear maybe here. Or even faster. There. Yeah, it looks very, very smooth right now. Okay, I made it even quicker. Like that. Okay, yeah. It's very, very smooth right now. Okay, so this is fully animated and designed. Right now we need to design and animate second part of this animation, which is this filler with this dropshipping thing right there. Okay, so it's 3D and we can see that it's real 3D right here because we have other lighting on every wall. So we need to use here something like Cinema 4D or Advanced 3D, but I know that Advanced 3D is not available in older versions of After Effects. That's why I'm going to use Cinema 4D, which is available with almost every version of After Effects, even the oldest ones. So to use that, firstly maybe we will create just new composition, because if we will change here in this scene Classic 3D to Cinema 4D, then Cinema 4D will apply to all of our scene, and for example we will not be able to add effects here. Actually effects are not going to work. I mean effects like D-Blow for example, and that's the reason why I want to create new pre-compose and model this rectangle there. Let's create new composition with same settings as before. Okay, and now I'm going to go to pen tool and I'm going to paint stroke like this in red color. Right now let's make 3D layer from this shape layer, and here inside this new composition, not in main composition but here, I'm going to change Classic 3D to Cinema 4D. And what we got thanks this change. Right now, when we will go here to shape layer, we have new options, material options and geometry options. Let's go to geometry options, and here we have something like extrusion depth. Let's change that, for example, to 100 over 100, and then let's go to rotation and let's rotate that. As you can see, we got a real 3D here. Let's maybe rotate this way. Okay, perfect. And right now, because we don't have any lighting here, actually it's not looking so good as here. Thanks light, every wall is a little different. To have the same effect, we actually just need to go to new and to light. Okay, let's use spotlight for example. You see, right now we see this 3D, but spotlight, I don't know if it will be the best. We need to change that maybe to the point. Okay, perfect. Now go to options. So let's change intensity to like 200 maybe, and then position of the light to to something like this. Okay, perfect. Now let's change position of this. Okay. Now we need to go to geometry options again here, and let's increase extrusion depth to something like this, so we'll have every wall in the same length like that. Okay, and actually it doesn't have to be very long, because when we will go here and we will look very carefully, you can see that actually this 3D rectangle, this 3D filler is changing really fast to normal 2D stroke, which is created as shape layer. You see, we have here pretty smooth but not the best transition between 3D and 2D. And thanks that it doesn't have to be very long. It can be just like this. We can change X rotation to like 3 maybe, and let's move this a little there. Okay, it should be good. You see, it's similar length, it should be enough. Okay, perfect. Let's go to my composition and let's import here this rectangle filler like this. Let's make this 3D. Let's put this below everything. Let's make this smaller. Let's put this, I don't know, maybe there. Okay, like this. And let's do transition here as well. We have here opacity transition for this. It's really easy to do opacity transition right there. It's just changing from 0 to 100 opacity percent. So let's do it for this. Let's go to rectangle filler. Then let's go to opacity by clicking T on your keyboard. Then create first keyframe and second keyframe to okay. Well, let's change position on timeline of second keyframe maybe here, and first keyframe maybe here, and change amount of opacity on first keyframe to 0%. Okay, maybe something like this. Let's make it a little smaller as well. Let's move this maybe there. Okay, perfect. We can add this dropshipping text and this as well. And actually, as you can see, this is one element in this animation. Opacity transition even is applied on every element here. I mean this rectangle, this text and everything. So we can add this inside this rectangle filler. Okay, let's add here a new text, drop shipping, like that. Let's add this as well. Let's make this 30 maybe. Let's make it smaller. It should be red as well. Okay, now let's add here a rectangle maybe just. So go here to rounded rectangle tool. Let's change throw pixels to maybe 5. And let's create this something like that. Let's make this 3D as well. And right now go to pen tool, fill to none and stroke to 5 pixels. And let's create this. And actually maybe fill to red color and stroke to none this time. Let's do that with fill. Let's make this 3D. Okay. Right now I suggest to select all of these 3 elements that creates this object, and let's link them to null, so we can control this as one object like that. Okay, in my opinion it looks even better than in original. Okay, yeah, I think it's perfect. Maybe just change stroke to white and this to white as well. Okay, so we have a bit of white color, which is our second color. We use only red and white in this animation. Okay, let's go to main. It should be it. Right now we need to add our last movement for this animation to the down, like this. And actually we have zoom here as well, a bit of zoom and movement down. Make it smooth. Peak of this should be maybe when this is ending, so like here maybe. Let's add new null. Let's create mark right there. Let's go to position. First keyframe maybe here, second keyframe maybe there. Okay, so it's going there. a bit of zoom as well. Yeah, down more. And actually, let's go to rectangle filler. Let's make here a little mask. So let's go to rectangle tool right there, and let's make masks somewhere there. Then change to subtract, go to mask feather. Okay, it should be something like that. I would make a graph for this movement right now. So yeah, as I said, you should have peak right there. Okay, so like this. Okay, right now let's add here this to the filler as well. We need to add this opacity transition to the filler as well. So we need to create new composition because we can't add mask to shape layer. We can add mask to composition. So let's create new composition to the filler, and let's go to pen tool and let's create this maybe like that. This red color will be the best. Perfect. Now go to main, go to the filler, and let's import that to our composition. Let's make it 3D. Let's place this right there. Let's make it a little bigger so it fits with this. Okay, let's put this right there. Now go to this rectangle tool and let's create mask right there, but let's change that to subtract. And right now go to mask 1 and go to mask feather. Okay, let's add mask there. Something like this. You see that it's insanely smooth. In my opinion, even smoother than in original. This transition is crazy good. Okay, and it's almost finished, as you can see, but here we also have animation of opacity of this to the filler. Opacity is decreasing as animation is going, so we need to change that as well, and we need to add this text and this element as well. So let's do that. Firstly, maybe let's add this text 2013. Let's create new text layer. Let's write this with Helvetica font and white color. Let's make this 3D. Okay, now we need to find this. It's here. Let's move this. Oh, right there. Let's make it smaller. Okay. Right now, maybe let's move this there. Okay, and now let's make it smaller to this size. Okay, right now let's also add opacity animation on this to the filler. Okay, so maybe let's start this from this moment, and okay, let's end this animation when we have our last keyframe, and let's change this to something like that. And let's also add this instead of this exact thing which is here. I will do something a little different. Let's go to pen tool and let's create this. Okay, let's make it 3D. Okay, let's put this like this. Okay, let's make it thinner, of course. It should be something like this. Let's move this there. Let's make this white maybe as well. Okay, let's move this under everything, all of this. Let's also make it shorter. It should start somewhere there. Okay, but it should be behind to the filler layer. Okay, and now let's add lines like that are going from this main line in few places, and let's make very similar empty space between all of them. Maybe let's duplicate that and let's just move this like this, and then our last small line is going to be for this number like that, but also this should be bigger, something like this probably. Let's move this as well, should be thinner maybe even. Let's change that to 5 pixels, maybe it should be a little smaller. Okay, something like this. Okay, let's watch that and let's make some last adjustments. Okay, it's almost perfect. First little thing, as you can see here at the first frames of animation, we actually can see this 2D filler right there. So first little thing to adjust is the fact that here at the very first frames of our animation we can see here this 2D filler, and let's go to the filler and actually let's remove this 2D filler up to this moment of animation. So let's actually just remove this from this part of animation. Okay, it will appear right now, but we don't see this appearing. It's appearing at the place that is out of our screen at the moment, so we don't need to add animation there. Okay, perfect. And here it should start a little smoother here, I mean this element. So to make it better, I think we can go here to constants, to shape 1, our main shape, to stroke, and here go to taper, and we have something like start length, and change that to 5 maybe. Okay, and after these two little adjustments, let's check this again. Okay, as you can see, it's insanely smooth. Design is insanely good at every frame of this animation. Right now, let's do a real magic and let's do our last step of this tutorial, which is of course final touches. So let's add all of these effects that will transform this basic looking animation to a masterpiece. Okay, so let's start our last part. Let's create new adjacent layer, and we'll just want to inform you guys in advance that almost all of effects we are going to add on adjacent layers. That's why I created one right now. And let's add here first effect, which is deep glow. Okay, let's change exposure to 0.02 for now. Maybe we'll increase that later. Then let's create new adjacent layer and let's add here CC vignette. Okay, and let's change amount to 150 for now. Maybe right now we can change exposure to 0.03. Yeah, and actually amount on CC vignette maybe to 130. Okay, like this. Okay, then we can add film damage from Sapphire, I think. Okay, we can leave basic settings here. Okay, and now we want to add our last effect. Let's create new adjacent layer. Okay, and on this adjacent layer we are going to add two effects. Firstly, it's going to be CC lens and size. Let's change that to 200 and convergence to 25, like this. Okay, maybe to like 15 or 25. Okay, like that. And right now let's add CC radial blur effect and amount to like 5 and quality to like 30, and from scratch let's change that to centered zoom. Okay, something like this, and perfect. We are almost done. We just need to maybe let's go to this shape layer. Let's adjust this a bit. Simply let's make it a little smaller. Okay, because after we added here this effect, we got a little like fisheye effect, and we didn't see this part of this rectangle, and right now we see this perfectly. You can make this even smaller to maybe 95 or 93. Okay, maybe 94. 95 was good actually. Okay, perfect. And right now last effect is going to be posterize time, because actually in this animation, when we have very fast quick movements, usually animation looks better if we will decrease amount of frames in our composition, and the easiest way to do that is to create new adjacent layer and add posterize time effect, and here we can actually change frame rate of our animation. Okay, so let's change that frame rate to maybe 16. Okay, and with that this animation should be completed. Let's see how it looks like. Okay, and it's done. I actually got an idea to cut this rectangle which we see here at the first frames of our animation when this rectangle is out of our frame. So like here, exactly there, it's cut, and thanks that we don't see this rectangle when our camera is going down later in our last movement of this animation. So yeah, it's actually done. Our animation is insanely smooth. It's insanely good, and I think that it can be even better than the original. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more After Effects tutorials. Also, if you want to follow along or practice, grab the project file and assets from the link in the description. I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.